Hello. Okay, today I'm going to be showing you an emergency budget. So this one's going to be a little bit bigger than my last video. I'm wanting to do at least 130 meals out of what I have here. This is pretty close to 80 bucks. Throughout the video, I'll be showing you how much everything costs per meal and all of that. You'll see it throughout the video. But I wanted to show you what I got. So we have some green bell peppers. Now I didn't put this in my total food amount because I got these out of my garden. I know it's probably cheating, but I didn't pay anything for it. So I got 2 onions. I have some baked beans. I have some 15 bean soup. We're gonna make a soup out of that actually. This is the rest of the bagels that I have. I only have 3 in here. I went to the store and I couldn't find any bagels, so I had to improvise with that meal. We got some hot dogs, some vegetables. Now my last video, I didn't put a lot of vegetables in it, so this one is gonna be pretty loaded in vegetables and meat, which I just cannot eat a meal if it doesn't have meat in it. So this one will be a little bit more nutritious, so it might be a little bit more expensive. It still comes out to about 60 cents per meal, which I think is really good. I got some meat. I go to my discount store and get that half off. So, you know, that's a little closer to $3 that I spent there. Some cheese, some rice. They didn't have 2-pound ones, so I just grabbed the 5-pound one. So I'm only going to use, you know, pretty close to a third of that. Got some sausage, some smoked sausage, some pepperoni, mac and cheese. This I already had, but soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce, however you say that sauce. And then some elbow macaroni back there, potatoes, some eggs, ham. We got some ramen. If you're on a budget, you got to be eating ramen. Okay, so we have some crescent rolls. We have some 3 cans of diced tomatoes, some tomato soup. I have 2 pounds of beef and some chicken gravy. Here's another big thing of chicken. Now I only paid about $5.50 for this. I'm gonna need some cheese, some beans. I'm gonna cook these up and put them in, I believe, 2 different meals. Some chickpea mix. So for some breakfast, my kids are usually the only ones that eat breakfast. My husband pretty much always has like a burrito that, you know, I pre-make, put them in the freezer. So I'm just going to show you, Babish. I'm just going to show you what I put, or what my kids eat for breakfast, since I don't typically eat breakfast. So here's some oatmeal, and then we have I'll make them some pancakes, and then they can have some cereal. Here's the milk for the cereal. I have some green beans and some pizza sauce. So here's everything for my haul, and let's go ahead and just get started cooking. Okay, I didn't record my kids eating the cereal, but they ate it for, I think, 4 mornings worth, and I have 4 kids. So that's 16 servings of cereal, and they just had it with milk. Here's some oatmeal. I like to make my oatmeal with milk. So here they are enjoying that. There's my youngest, which doesn't really care for oatmeal too much. This was a staple growing up as a kid. I loved beans and weenies. That was one of my favorite things to have for lunch. So my kids have never had it before, so they definitely enjoyed it. They thought it was kind of weird at first. Why are there hot dogs in my beans? But they did actually enjoy it, so I'm glad that they enjoyed it. It's a super cheap meal, so it's just beans and hot dogs, and if you have a bigger budget, you can put some barbecue sauce and some brown sugar in it, and that is phenomenal. I just diced up these hot dogs and put it in there, and served it up, and this was about 8 servings worth. So we got to eat this for lunch, and we had leftovers as well. For dinner this day, I just made a crock pot meal. I just made some ham and beans, and you can actually serve this over rice too to make it go further. There's so many meals that you can make, and just putting it over rice will make it go further, make your budget go further. And so this is just, I'm just diced up some onions, and I'm putting in the bag of beans. I did rinse them off first and make sure that there's nothing in it, no pieces that aren't beans in it. And then I put in 6 cups of water, and here I'm just putting in some chicken bouillon. So you're gonna put in 1 teaspoon per cup of chicken bouillon. So I needed about 2 tablespoons worth of chicken bouillon. I think I accidentally put in 3, but extra flavor is not gonna hurt. So I just put that in the crock pot along with my beans and onions. And then I put in a can of diced tomatoes, and then I'm gonna cut up this big ham steak that I have. You can put in any kind of ham. I just chose a ham steak because that's what I had on hand. I did get this at the discount store, so this was half off the original price, so I got it for like $3. So you just definitely want to use what you have. Anything that you get at a discount you want to buy and use. I try to make meals based off of the deals that I get at the store. So I'm just gonna take all the fat off of this and put it in the crock pot. And then we're going to seal it up and let it cook on low for about 8 hours. And then it should be good to go. In the packet of beans, there should be like a little packet of seasoning, and since I used a Cajun bean mix, I have a Cajun seasoning. And once everything's done cooking, then you can just toss that in and stir it up, and then your bean soup should be ready to go. You can have this over rice. You can have this with some cornbread if that's in your budget. This is a delicious meal. You can even have it with crackers. This does go a long ways. I think we had 12 servings out of this meal. So me and my family ate. I have a family of 6, and we had all of this leftovers. So this is great for the next night, especially since I'm probably not going to want to cook the next night. For an easy lunch, I'm just going to make some pigs in the blanket. I don't know if you guys have ever had pigs in the blanket, but it is delicious. It's super easy to do, and it's very cheap. I just have my leftover hot dogs from my beans and weenies, and I'm just going to use my crescent dough, and I'm just going to roll these hot dogs up into my crescent dough. And then I'm going to put it on the pan. I'm going to cook these at 350 for about 10 minutes, just until it's lightly brown on top. And then I'm going to serve it with some mac and cheese. For my mac and cheese, I do like to cook it with some milk, usually some butter, and then some cheese. I'll even put in some extra cheese. And I do like to mix it to where it's kind of runny at first, but when it sits for a couple minutes, it does thicken up. And I don't like it when my mac and cheese is super thick and it just doesn't taste very good. So I do like to make it a little bit runny at first, but it will thicken up. If you have kids, then you know mac and cheese is a staple for them. It's easy, it's simple. Kids love it. I mean, we don't have it every single day. We don't have it all the time. I do try to make sure they're eating healthy, but you know, sometimes I just need a fast lunch and this is a great option. Also, I did want to note, if ketchup is in your budget, then go ahead and serve that with ketchup. Next, I'm going to be making some chicken fried rice. So I'm going to use a tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm going to fry up about 1 to 2 pounds of this chicken. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get started on my rice. So I'm going to make about 2 cups of dry rice before it's cooked. So it should double and make about, 4 cups at least of rice. I always put my rice in this Instant Pot. I just think that the rice cooks so well in Instant Pots. I'm so amazed on how well that they cook. They don't stick to the pan. As long as you grease it, you should be fine, and it cooks perfectly. So now that my rice is done cooking, I'm just going to add that to my chicken after my chicken is done cooking. Well, I should have definitely started with this bigger pan. I don't know why I cooked the chicken in such a small pan, but here I'm just greasing my bigger cast iron skillet, and I'm going to add in my rice. I probably add in 3 to 4 cups of rice, and then I put in my chicken and my peas and carrots. I don't use the whole bag of peas and carrots. I use about 3/4 of it. Just a good mixture. I just felt like that was enough. I didn't want to put the whole bag in. And then I'm going to mix this with some soy sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, and also 2 eggs. Once the eggs were done cooking, I went ahead and stirred everything together, added my chicken and my sauces, and this meal was really, really good. I just love chicken fried rice. When we go to a Chinese restaurant, Asian restaurants, I just love chicken fried rice. It's just one of my favorites. I wish I could cook it as good as they do, but this is about as good as it gets here. My kids ate so much of this meal. I was actually really surprised that we even had leftovers, but we did have a little bit of leftovers, and my kids definitely wanted it the next day. For the next morning, we had some pancakes, and I highly suggest just making a bunch of pancakes at one time. You can put them in a baggie, put them in the freezer, and then the next day you just take them out, put them in the microwave, put them in the toaster, and they are 100% just like new. They don't taste old or anything like that. They last a long time, and that way I don't have to make pancakes every single morning. I don't know about you, but pizza bagels was another staple for me growing up. We had it a lot for lunch or maybe like a Friday night, pizza night kind of a thing. But they're super simple. Just grab some bagels, put some pizza sauce, some cheese, some pepperoni, sausage. Growing up for me, we always did American cheese, but my family doesn't always like American cheese. So I just use mozzarella. I think American cheese probably is cheaper, but for this video, I just used mozzarella, and I put some pepperoni on half of them because half of my kids don't like pepperoni. The other half just likes cheese. So, and I broil these for, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, and they're good. The kids love them. Is it hot, baby? Yes. Eating our pizza bagels.
Good.
Yeah. Is it yummy?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I have any leftovers, but I doubt it. This next meal is another Crockpot meal. So this is just chicken and gravy over rice. So I'm going to spray my Crockpot, and then I'm going to make my gravy mix. So I put in 2 packets of chicken gravy. If you have like a poultry gravy, I'm sure that's fine, or pork. I'm sure both of those are fine. I had chicken gravy on hand, so I went ahead and used that. And then I'm going to use 1 can of cream of chicken soup in with 2 cups of water, and mixing that all up. And then once it's all mixed up, then we'll add in our chicken. So actually, before we add in our chicken, I forgot that we do go ahead and add in our seasonings. You can add this in later. It doesn't have to be in any particular order, but I just added in some garlic powder and some onion powder, probably about half a teaspoon each. And then I went ahead and mixed that up, and then I add in about 1.5 pounds of chicken, 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of chicken. Okay, now that my chicken is done, it's been cooking on high for about 4 hours. I'm just going to use a meat grater, however you say this. I don't even know what it is, but it just helps to chop up meat. I use this mainly for hamburger meat, but you can use it for really any type of meat. But I'm gonna go ahead and shred this chicken, and then I'm going to add some parsley just to give it a little bit more flavor. And then I'm going to put this over some rice. You could put this over mashed potatoes, is delicious as well. We went ahead and just did rice, and it was really good. It's a super easy meal, so it's just one of those dump and go meals that are super convenient. Here's my family. We're getting ready to eat this meal, and after we got done eating, we had tons of leftovers. Probably had another 6 servings worth of leftovers after we ate. This is probably one of my favorite meals to make. I love shepherd's pie. I think it's easy. You can even make it and put it in the freezer. It's a good freezer meal. So you're just going to cut up these potatoes. We're going to end up making some mashed potatoes out of it. Then while the potatoes are cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and ground up my beef and drain my beef, drain the grease off my beef, sorry. And then I'm gonna put that in a 9x13 pan. I'm gonna put it with some green beans and tomato soup. I know that sounds like a really weird combination, but it really is delicious. And you can even mix it with some mixed vegetables, peas and carrots, whichever type of vegetable that you want to use. I just use green beans with it. And then once the ground beef, the tomato soup, and the green beans are mixed together, I'm going to put some mashed potatoes and some cheddar cheese on top of it. I'll put it in the oven for about 30 to 45 minutes and dinner will be ready. For my mashed potatoes, I just used about half a cup of milk with my potatoes that I had boiled. Now that they're nice and soft and tender, I'm gonna mix that with some salt and pepper. And I actually use a handheld mixer to mix this. I don't really use a potato masher. I just don't think it gets really nice and creamy that way. You can add butter to your mashed potatoes. That makes it taste better, of course. I just use milk for this recipe. And now I'm just going to put it on top of my beef mixture. And once that's all nice and even, I'm just going to put some cheddar cheese, maybe about 3/4 a cup of cheddar cheese on top of that. And it should be ready for the oven. Alright, here is my shepherd's pie. It's delicious. It's even better if you let it sit for a little bit. That way the potatoes aren't as runny since they're hot. And we ate it and we had tons of leftovers as well. Next, I'm going to be making a ramen chicken stir fry. So I'm going to boil 3 of these ramen packets. And once they're done boiling, then I'm just gonna drain off all of the water and I'm gonna get started on my chicken. I'm going to season my chicken with some salt and pepper just to give it some flavor, some paprika. Of course, you guys know that I love paprika. It just gives it so much flavor. And I'm just going to let this cook, make sure everything's cooked through properly. And once everything is cooked, then I'm going to add that little bit of peas and carrots that I had left over from the chicken fried rice. I'm going to add in the rest of that. And then I'm going to add in probably only 1/4 of my stir fry mix, my veggie stir fry mix. I don't add in very much. So if I wanted to double this recipe, I definitely could with my bag of veggies. Okay, once all my veggies are added, the chicken's cooked through and all that, then I'm just going to add in my ramen, get that stirred through properly, and then I'm going to add in some soy sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, and I think normally I'd put in some sesame oil. I think I'd put in some liquid smoke, but for this recipe, since we're on a budget, I just put in those two. Those are the two things that most people have on hand. That's why I didn't add it in the budget. It's because most people have soy sauce. Even you can get, like, if you do left takeouts, then sometimes you have soy sauce packets. Definitely save all the little sauces and packets that you get from restaurants. You can always use those. Don't just throw them in the trash. And I'm just gonna stir all that through, and this meal is actually all ready to go after we put in the ramen. And this, I went ahead and put it all in bowls, and we had tons of leftovers. This went really far, so I was really excited about this meal. Okay, for this next meal, I'm making some chicken broccoli rice. So I'm just making my rice right now. So I put in 2 cups of rice with 3 cups of water. And you can put chicken bouillon if you want. It just gives it extra flavor. I didn't for this meal. And then I am showing you that I'm putting it on the rice function for my Instant Pot. Now I have about 2 pounds of chicken that I'm going to fry up. I do use bacon grease a lot if I don't want to use oil. If I have bacon grease on hand, I may as well use it up. That just saves on money. That saves on not having to use oil. And it just tastes so much better. Bacon grease is amazing. So I'm frying this up. I'm just going to add some salt and pepper. Nothing too fancy for this meal. And then once that's done cooking, I'm just going to mix the rice and the chicken and with some broccoli. Okay, now that the chicken is done cooking, the rice is done cooking, I'm just going to add in 3 cups of rice with 1 packet of broccoli. Here you can see me, I'm just dicing up the broccoli. For some reason, I didn't do it on a cutting board. I don't know if I was just being lazy or whatnot. But you can use some kitchen scissors and cut it up that way. They, if they're thawed, then they should cut, just fine. And I'm going to use half an onion here, and with some cream of mushroom soup. And then I'm going to put in about 1 cup of cheddar cheese as well in with my chicken. And then I'm just going to stir it up, give it a good stir with a 1/2 cup of milk, and stir that all up until it's thoroughly mixed through. And then we're going to put that in a 9x13 pan. Okay, once I have everything stirred through, I'm just going to get my 9x13 pan. I'm going to lightly grease it, and I'm going to pour my mixture in there. And once I did that, I realized that I did not put salt, pepper, and paprika on it. You definitely want to give this a good flavor. It's rice, and rice is bland, so you definitely want to give it some flavor. So here I am putting in all my seasonings, and then, I think I did put in some garlic powder as well. About, I don't know, 1/2 teaspoon, maybe 1/4 teaspoon of that, just to give it a little bit of a flavor. And I'm mixing that up. I'm going to put my cheese on top of that, and I'm going to bake this in the oven at 350 for about 45 to 50 minutes. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. This made about 6 servings worth.
Red milk.
Next, I'm going to be making a sausage and rice skillet. This one's super simple. It's really not that many ingredients, and it's very cheap to make. So I'm just going to cook my andouille sausage. I'm going to put in some green bell peppers with it. I'm going to put in a can of diced tomatoes. You can put in whatever kind of diced tomatoes that you want. I think mine's like a garlic and onion mix, but you can put in whatever kind you want. And then I did cook some rice in the Instant Pot, and I'm just going to put in about, I don't know, 3 cups of rice. After this is done cooking, I'm going to put in some rice, and it's done. It is that simple. It is that easy, and it's actually my husband's favorite meal that I made. Out of all of the recipes that I made in this video, this one was his favorite, and it's the most simplest. So I definitely love that. I've never made this meal before. I just wanted to make something with rice that could spread and make my budget go further, and was actually a winner. So I'm excited about that meal. Next, I'm going to be making some goulash. This was not a family favorite, but I definitely enjoyed it. My husband did not enjoy it, but he can get over it. He doesn't like red sauce, so I don't know, it's dumb. But this is a good meal to make if you want something that can go a long way. And I could have even doubled this recipe. This is an easy recipe to double. So here I just ground up a pound of ground beef, and I'm putting in 2 cups of chicken broth, or you can put in like tomato broth, beef broth, it really doesn't matter. And then I have a can of diced tomatoes and a can of tomato sauce. And then I put in 1 cup of elbow macaroni. I'm sure you could put in any type of macaroni that you want. For goulash, usually it's just elbow macaroni. And I let that simmer until it's basically until the elbow macaroni is cooked through. I did add in some Worcestershire sauce and some other seasonings just to give it a little bit more flavor. Some pepper, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, just to give it a little bit more flavor. Okay, and now that everything is thickened, the macaroni is fully cooked. This is what it looks like when it's all done. We serve this up, we have a family of 6. We serve this up, and we had a little bit left over, not a whole lot. So this is probably 5 to 6 servings right here. So a twist for pizza, I was originally going to do pizza on naan bread, but I did not have any more naan bread. I used it in a previous video, so I improvised, and here I'm using some English muffins. These did not cost very much for the whole packet. It was $1.19 that I bought at Aldi's, and these actually were pretty filling. I think we got 4 servings out of this, and my kids liked it a lot. I think they even liked it more than the pizza bagels, so I was excited about that. But it's just pizza sauce. I put some Italian seasoning, some mozzarella cheese, some pepperonis, that's pretty much all my kids like, and I made this for lunch for my kids, so they just wanted cheese and pepperonis. But I just put this in the oven. I think I put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes, and it was good to go. It's a really simple, fast, easy lunch. How is it?
Good.
How is it?
Good.
How is it? Is it good? For this last meal, it was another simple meal, but it was really, really delicious. It's andouille sausage with some potatoes and onions, and I put green beans on the side. That's it. There's just 4 ingredients, and it's absolutely delicious. I just used bacon grease again just because I had it on hand, and it's way better than oil in my opinion. And I diced up these potatoes, and I'm just going to fry them up with this onion. And then once they are about done, I'm going to go ahead and put in my sausage to cook at last. You can definitely put this meal with some, you can fry it up with some green onions, some bell peppers. I think that would be even more flavorful. You can season the potatoes with paprika, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, definitely to give it a lot more flavor. But while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and dice up this andouille sausage and cook that. The potatoes look like they're almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my sausage. And once the sausage is done cooking, I just put it on a plate with some green beans, and it was delicious. A super simple meal that was done in about 15 minutes. Thanks so much for watching this emergency budget meal, and I plan to make more in the future, and I hope to see you in the next one.